And welcome to Nintendo Voice Chat, part of IGN Summer of Gaming. We just watched a brand new Nintendo Direct, and for the next hour, we're going to break it all down. Kingdom Hearts 4, barely a tease at an Ocarina of Time remake. I'm Logan Plant, Schneider, Nick Limon. Guys, let's start with Zelda. It was the tiniest look, but it gave me goosebumps. That was
so good.
It was so good. What'd you think, Per?
I mean, I love that they went to the sort of tapestry presentation style of Wind Waker, right? Like showing the story and setting it up like this. Really, really cool. Great voice acting. You know, we saw
really good voice acting.
We saw a hint narration at the Deku Tree and setting up the story of Link being born. He's living among the Kokiri, but not actually being part of them. And then obviously setting off his quest to get a fairy of his own. And then you see this short glimpse of Link in a bed with sort of the half tapestry, half actual game world look. Did you see it had a little filter over it?
Yeah.
We can't tell what this is going to look like just from that, but it looks different from what I imagined.
Me too. It looks a lot different, but that transition from the tapestry to the character model, like all of us reacted. It was a really good moment in this trailer. I wish we had seen more.
I know. I wish
surprised.
just like a dungeon scene, like anything in the
like walking
world.
into the Great Deku Tree's mouth.
But look at this style. It looks like a fairy tale picture book drawing, right?
Yeah, and his clothes are different too. Even than like this is. Yeah, it's not a 1-for-1 like just asset flip up res. He looks way different in this game.
Yeah. It's a distinct art direction take because the Deku Tree again looks vastly different in the tapestry than what he's ever looked like in any Zelda game ever.
Yeah.
So I do suspect that this is going to be, have quite a few zags in it. But again, the thing that kind of sent chills through my spine is just hearing that little, the echo of like Saria's song a little bit in there. It's like,
you heard the ocarina play in the background the entire time. I got goosebumps. I can't wait to see more. It's wonderful that this is announced for 2026. So this wasn't a teaser like a Metroid logo teaser saying it's coming in a few years. They're holding back on purpose. They give you just the slightest bit of a tease, and then we'll see what it looks like. But like Ocarina of Time was famous for doing cutscenes in engine, whereas like Final Fantasy went with pre-rendered stuff. This is in-engine cutscenes. And it looks really, really good. So I can't wait to see. We never got a close-up of him sleeping with the Triforce appearing on his hand and all of that. And so that means there'll probably be a lot of cinematics added to this game.
Yeah, and voice acting. And just a little thing I noticed at the very end, the logo still has kind of the Legend of Zelda series logo is that ruined look. Yeah, like it's dilapidated like the Breath of the Wild logo is. So it's like, this is a modern Legend of Zelda game. It wasn't the shiny blue and red logo from the original Ocarina of Time. So, I wish we had seen more. And I have to say, man, this is why I don't like leaks. How big of a pop would this have been if we didn't know that this was coming? I just think that's so disappointing because this was such a cool setup, and then that little note of Saria's song, like you said, Nick, like that would have been such an awesome reveal, but we've all been expecting this for a couple of months now, and I just think that's such a big disappointment because this was a very cool reveal.
It is very much evoking what I imagined like the Zelda movie would kind of give off, like with the kind of narrator fairy tale intro transition to, Link sleeping in the bed. I don't know, it just feels like this kind of just sells to me that they're going to adapt Ocarina of Time for the actual movie. I know that they have the Breath of the Wild outfits and whatnot, but I'm like, I don't know. There's just something about it that feels correct for like a cinematic story. So maybe that's all it is. It's just something that's cutscene heavy. And
it looks like what a CG movie adaptation of The Legend of Zelda from, with Universal would have looked like, right?
Yeah.
Can I say, I think I'm going to watch that trailer 400 times until we see that again. Like every time that logo pops and it lights up and the gold hue, I still am getting goosebumps. We've seen it 4 times now. It's going to be so great. And I have even more hope now that it's going to be what we talked about in the pre-show a little bit. More of a reimagining than just a straight remake. Even this is so different. This is such a modern take on Ocarina of Time. And I love that because for so long, I feel like Nintendo is so careful with its darlings. Like when it remakes a game, it sticks very, very close to the script. Like even look at Zelda, like Ocarina 3D, Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess HD. They're very much like, no, these are the games and we're going to present them in a modern way, but leave it all untouched. And they are flipping that script. Just like Star Fox. And now with this, it's like, let's take our classic N64 games and actually remake them for 2026. It's going to be awesome.
This is not the Breath of the Wild style, which is just really cool. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, that's
Is he wearing jorts?
I mean, to your earlier point, I think this is the dark and gritty Zelda look that people have been kind of clamoring for.
It's the closest to that since
ages. So, finally,
fingernails.
you guys get what you want.
Fingers.
Yeah, right? He looks like a person. Like his fingernails. Yeah, it's crazy.
Man.
Can't wait for that. So Ocarina of Time is coming in 2026. We didn't get a date, just the year. And let's before we get into other specific announcements, just talk about reactions to that direct as a whole. This was the first general direct in 9 months since last September. Duskbloods, Kingdom Hearts 4, Fire Emblem release date, Xenoblade Genesis, a lot of other stuff. Nick, just general thoughts on this direct.
I mean, as a RPG fanboy, my plate's gonna be very full. Maybe now's the chance for me to finally give the Xenoblade Chronicles series another shot. Now that it's gonna be running at higher resolutions, higher frame rates on my Nintendo Switch 2. Every engine game coming to Nintendo Switch 2, but overall, we haven't even gotten to the Kingdom Hearts 4 of it all. But overall, it just feels like this is Nintendo planting its flag in the sand, saying that we are just like everyone else, but also we have Nintendo games.
Yeah.
Yeah. My one reaction is that it was overall a little bit light on sort of only on Switch moments.
Yes.
Right. There were a lot of games that we love that are coming back from past Nintendo systems, but also games that we've seen on competing platforms before coming to this system, and they all look really good, which is good news. The one sort of first party announcements or second party announcements were, Xenoblade games coming back, stuff like that. And then obviously Switch Resort.
Yes.
Which also looks like a remake with new features, right? So that my one reservation with this direct was it was a lot of sort of third-party support that we've seen on other systems, reaffirmation that Switch 2 can run even modern games. That's what we got with Kingdom Hearts 4 and Dusk Bloods and all of that stuff. And then, one tantalizing tease at a big remake.
Yeah, I'm having the same reaction to this direct that I feel like I had after the Switch 2 Premiere Direct in April of last year, where it's like, I think this is just the format for a Switch 2 Direct. It's a lot of ports of games from other platforms that it's great that Switch 2 is getting, but if you're like power users like us, we've played those games elsewhere. They're still great announcements for Switch 2, but that took up a lot of runtime of this show. And then Nintendo is working with more powerful hardware, and it's just a reality that it's not going to be the same cadence of first-party games as the Switch 1 generation, and I think that's a disappointment to a lot of people. And something else I feel is that Nintendo today, they've been announcing a lot of games through their app. Splatoon Raiders has gotten a lot of trailers and content through that. Star Fox got its own dedicated direct. And I just feel like this direct was no different with or without Nintendo today. Like, Splatoon still gets like a 4-minute block, and Star Fox is still here, and Rhythm Heaven gets a 4-minute thing at the beginning. And these were all things announced outside of the direct format that it's like, does that free up runtime for other stuff? And the answer is no. Like, it still is all in here. And so I walk away and I'm like, really, the big one is Zelda. We didn't get to see much of that. Xenoblade Genesis is a huge reveal not till next year.
Yeah,
and then release dates for stuff like Fire Emblem, Fortune's Weave. So I think it was good. I would not say that this was great. And I'd say that this is just the reality of this generation right now of it's going to take a little longer for Nintendo games to come out. So here's a million third-party games while you wait. It's just a different feel for Nintendo.
I think they're more careful, right? Like I referenced the Metroid Prime 4 logo drop. I think they're a little bit more careful of when they announce something. Xenoblade is safe because that team works like clockwork and gets their games out on time. And so they're clearly trying to sort of set up fandom for trying out Xenoblade games, people who've played the old ones going back, getting excited for the future, which is a brand new game, obviously. But yeah, they're way more careful. Like we didn't get a Luigi's Mansion. We didn't get a Mario, right? Like we got some Mario items.
Got a Mario hat.
Yeah. So, but that just means Mario's not this year.
Yeah.
And, that doesn't mean it's not under development or not showable. It just means they're waiting a little bit longer on that.
I just think a year ago today, we did not know about, like, Splatoon Raiders. We didn't know about We didn't know about
Pokopia.
Star Fox. We didn't know about Pokopia. There's a lot of things we did not know about. And these are games that are out or coming out very soon. So you're right, Per. It's just a different cadence. Like Ocarina of Time is out in the next 6 months, and they didn't show us anything.
And,
Excited.
Nintendo can also do the thing where none of us expect it, and they say suddenly on a random Wednesday afternoon, hey, by the way, in 10 minutes, there's going to be a Star Fox Direct, who knows what kind of precedent that type of announcement is going to have for the foreseeable future of bespoke, game-specific Directs, where we just don't even know that they're popping up.
Yeah, and I'll say it again. I said it in regards to Zelda, but a lot of this stuff was in that Nate the Hate leak. Like he also mentioned Nintendo Switch Sports Resort. So yeah, he's on the money right now. I personally find that disappointing, and I don't know who it serves, really, is my thing, because I've been saying this for a couple of months. Be prepared for the internet to kind of rage in disappointment when the Direct doesn't have surprises, because those surprises were spoiled to you months ahead of time, and that's just my big reaction to this.
The Elite Beat agents are on the job to track down the leak.
I know.
I'll never understand how somebody who, it's got to come from Nintendo affiliated partners that leaks, right? Like I don't get, if you work there, why you would want to risk that information getting
internet clout, pair easily.
But you don't get internet clout because you're in the shadows. If it ever finds you, you're in trouble, right?
Yeah, I don't get it either.
The other thing I thought was cool was that Devon was in the Direct at the end. You know, she's obviously has taken over from Bowser. She's awesome. I've met her a few times. She's been with Nintendo for a long time, and really knows games. Would love to see more of her in future Directs as well.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we are going to take a very quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk a ton about this Nintendo Direct. We'll talk about Xenoblade, Pokopia, achievements kind of coming to Nintendo Switch Online in a very interesting way. So don't go anywhere, because NVC will be right back right here on IGN Summer of Gaming. Kingdom Hearts 4 will launch on Switch 2. We don't have a date or a year, but we know that it's coming to Nintendo's console, and we got our first look at Kingdom Hearts 4 in a few years. It's been a long time. So, Nick, what was your reaction?
I was just kind of stun-locked the entire time. I wasn't sure that I was looking at actual reality, but Kingdom Hearts 4 is still a real thing. Square Enix is still actively development. We can all rest, Kingdom Hearts fanboys. Let's go ahead and take it easy. Give Tetsuya Nomura, the creator of the game, a little bit of a break. And it looks great. It actually looks like a real playable game. The combat that we saw looks like a continuation of where the original trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4 leaves off, where Sora is transported into modern-day Tokyo and what looks like Shibuya fighting the darkness. But one thing that Square Enix has said that, or I believe it was Nomura himself, said that this is the beginning of a new arc in Kingdom Hearts, a new story arc, where it was like the Darkness Seeker trilogy in the original first 3 games, and now this is going to be something new. I'm very curious to see what the kind of general overall tone is based on what we see there. It still feels very dark and edgy in a way that Kingdom Hearts 1 through 3 necessarily weren't. This feels a lot more in line with what we've seen from kind of mid to late 2000s era Square, where the world ends with you, modern adaptation with a little bit of a fairy tale twist. I still genuinely think Kingdom Hearts 4 is basically Nomura trying to finally make Versus 13 happen for Final Fantasy. And I think this is such a fun, interesting choice to make it so like live action, not live action, but like realistic portioned humans, and it looks like there's a lot of characters from the now canceled mobile game that are making an appearance in this particular Kingdom Hearts game. And the flow motion state combat from Dream Drop Distance on the 3DS and what we saw iterated on in Kingdom Hearts 3 is back and in higher fidelity than we've ever seen before. I'm very excited. I love Kingdom Hearts, and I can't wait to pour over this footage, on my own 4K TV at home and look at every single pixel that I can find. But I am very, very hyped for this.
I think the mayor of Shibuya has some work cut out for them. So they keep on getting invaded by monsters in every game. Persona more recently as well. It looks really fun. I mean, I'm a big Disney guy. I've watched every animated feature they've ever made. So I am dying to jump into this game and finally get to play it. I'm just so happy that we no longer have to worry about games being streaming only on a Nintendo console, that this is running natively, and that it's not going to be a sort of 1 year down the line announcement and addition, and that this is being developed for launch is really, really cool. And I think, look, this is the affirmation that Switch 2 is big in Japan and is going to be probably the leading console in that market for many years to come, and that all the big guns, the big devs, big publishers from Japan are putting their weight behind this console.
Yeah, tons of Capcom games in this show, and then a few Square games as well. Kingdom Hearts 4, that's a big deal that it's coming at launch on Switch 2, and then we're also getting non-cloud versions of 3 Kingdom Hearts collections that did get cloud versions on Switch 1, and for people that did buy those, you can transfer your save over, which I thought was very nice. So that's great. The whole Kingdom Hearts series then is going to be on Switch 2, and it just seems like Switch 2 is becoming kind of a definitive place for a ton of different franchises. We mentioned Xenoblade earlier, getting 1 through 3 Switch 2 editions, and then a 4th Xenoblade, or a 5th, I guess, Xenoblade game is coming as well. So really cool. Speaking of Square, though, we also got a reveal of the first HD 2D Final Fantasy game. It's called Final Fantasy Resonance. It's coming to Switch 1 and Switch 2 on October 22nd. And this was a cool look for an HD 2D game. We saw more kind of behind-the-back third-person stuff.
Well, when they first showed Octopath Traveler and the style of that game, I was hoping that Square would apply this to a classic Final Fantasy like 4, 5, or 6, some of my favorite games of all time. And this is even better. We're getting a new game, but they're doing the sort of heavy on nostalgia approach of a Fire Emblem game where you're getting to summon heroes from the past.
Yeah.
Coupled with, the existing character classes that we love from Final Fantasy games with that art style. This, outside of Ocarina of Time, this is like my top pick for the show.
Yeah, I think, you nailed it. This kind of looks like a Smash Brothers-esque collection of all of your favorite Final Fantasy crew and characters. You get to assemble a team, I would assume, of, characters from every single game. That's a mechanic that feels like it's derived from one of the mobile games at Square Enix, one of their free-to-play gacha games that they had established years ago. I forget which one it was, but there's like Opris Omnia, and then there's Brave Exvius, and this looks like it's kind of in that vein where you get to build your crew. I'm curious if they are taking a route like Octopath Traveler 0, that is this kind of collection and reimagining of a mobile game, but adapted for like a full retail product, which I could appreciate. But one thing that really stood out to me in this trailer is that it has a very distinct art style from Octopath Traveler, in that it's not quite the Octopath like pixel art, but it feels like a weird in between of like traditional pixel art along with Octopath, where characters are a little more like normal human proportions, which is kind of fun. And it just looks like a really pretty pixel style that we haven't necessarily seen before. It does look like our main character here, though, is a unique character to this game. And
it's like FF9 merged with classic games, right? Yeah. They're not the sort of full human size, but they're also not the chibi from the original games. I'm curious to see if we get one Sid or many in this one.
And we get an open world with an airship.
I know, that looks like classic, super fun, Super NES style.
It does.
Open world with the
a little jarring to jump to like the full remake version of Cloud in that cutscene.
I know, that's strange, right? What was that?
It looks like because it looks like Cloud is about to use Omnislash there on the enemy, and so I'm wondering if there is like this cut to pre-rendered video.
Yeah.
And I'm actually being told right now that we do have a preview of this game going up today. So make sure you stay tuned to IGN.com and on our YouTube channel to check out a full extensive preview from someone who I suspect knows what they're talking about from Final Fantasy. I believe it's Michael Hyam. So look forward to that, because I'm going to pour through that like a big book.
I think the Smash Brothers comparison is apt here in that, you maybe get different art styles. Like, I also love the opening with the dragon flying, that it's pixelated as well, but it's like, it looks like somebody pixelated a modern game down rather than like reimagined it. If this has music from all the different games, then woo-hee.
That's going to be exciting.
It's kind of like Fire Emblem Engage. It reminds me of too, just the celebration of all the games, bringing in heroes from past ones. And I think it's great that HD 2D with Octopath Traveler felt like, wow, they need to do this for every series that they have, because like I think about like Nintendo does top-down Zelda and 3D Zelda still, so you still get all those styles, but it felt like Final Fantasy had lost some of that old school style, and you had Octopath Bravely Default, things like that, but to get a game actually called Final Fantasy with chocobos and all the characters and classes, that's really great. They've done it with Dragon Quest. They have Adventures of Elliot coming out in just a couple of weeks. It's like, can we just keep working our way towards Chrono Trigger HD 2D? Like, come on. I feel like
they did just release new toys for Chrono Trigger, so the hope is still there.
Man, that's the stage we're at. We're just following every license.
It's called Copium, Logan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, we finally got a release date for Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. That was a big part of this show. I'm just scrolling, trying to find it. Now, I think it's September 17th. September 17th on Switch 2. Got a big look. Looks like Three Houses too, right? You pick between 4 characters. You presume that's going to be 4 routes in the game, and then you have battles. But in between the battles, it's up to you how you want to spend that time to train or recruit new units. Per, you're the biggest Fire Emblem fan I know. What'd you think?
Well, I'm very, very excited, and I'm more excited to know that this arrives early. Like I was worried that it was going to be a December game and everybody's still playing GTA at that point. No, this arrives for me at the right time, so I can get my Fire Emblem out of the way for what is to follow in Q4. It does look like it has the sort of cozy systems, the character relationship building systems, the sort of 3 houses set up with, aligning yourself and hopefully building your own custom team, which makes it more fun than to play through with multiple heroes and not just having a different lead. I'm curious to see if the different leads have different chapters. Like, if you go back to the GBA games, there are multiple paths and exclusive chapters for the characters. It's hard to see. I have to pore over the footage. It's hard to see what's new, but the sort of special moves, we saw a really devastating attack from one of the heroes on an entire group of enemies, taking them basically out. Yeah, it's all fun and games until that character turns evil and fights against you. So let's see what happens in the story, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought this looked visually very, very nice. Yeah. Looking forward to that. I got to be honest, Three Houses is not my favorite style of a Fire Emblem game. It's not. I prefer, as we talked about in the pre-show, kind of the more battle-focused tactics where you're not as worried about the in-between. But Three Houses is the best-selling strategy RPG of all time. This is undoubtedly going to be a really huge success. And I think the concept's really cool. Like, hey, all your main battles and the big story beats are going to take place in this arena for this tournament. It's like a full game-long tournament arc. But then you can travel outside and level up. And I'm curious to see, can you find people to recruit out there in the wild, and how different are the 4 routes depending on which character you choose to battle with? Does it just change the story, or are there different missions involved? I think there's still a lot to learn, but this was a really, really great big look.
I think, I mean, I do enjoy Three Houses, but I do prefer the. I just don't like it when Fire Emblem locks you into the visual novel-esque kind of situations where I'm just like, all right, I just want to fight some dudes right now. And it looks like Fortune's Weave. Fortune's Weave is allowing you to kind of take the game at your own pace. Like, do you want to just get into a battle? Cool. Head outside the town and start dungeon crawling and getting into random encounters and things like that.
They've worked towards making the sort of in-between battle systems more simpler in a way that you can say, no, I don't want to walk around, just, let me level up in other ways.
Yeah. And I want to fight something right now, so let me do it.
They have been conscious of that, they basically merged 2 very different gameplay styles. And just to, like the sort of like relationship building happened in the old games too. It's just that you were placing units next to each other to build relationships, and then you get the sort of like story sequences and the relationships told in like simple cards between the battles. And then obviously this got much bigger once we hit the 3D era. Now look, super excited for this. I like Fire Emblem games are always great. We've got a dude with a German name in the lead too. So hey.
That's who you got to pick then. Right?
I'm in, yeah.
Yeah. And it looks like we saw some dungeon crawling too. They've experimented with that a little bit. Like Shadows of Valencia had these dungeons you'd go on. And it's like 5 seconds of this. We see somebody just opening up a treasure chest in some grassy field. But yeah, maybe they're going to lean harder into that, because Three Houses really felt like the only area you were on foot as Byleth exploring was the school. So if you can actually go out and get into these little skirmishes in these more third-person exploration areas, that could be really cool.
And it's more interesting than, past games have let you either revisit missions and have monster battles on them, or you just had to go to the arena and basically wager money and upgrade your characters that way if you wanted to build out your entire army. So I like this.
Yeah, well, we got to take a short commercial break here, but we'll be back with even more Nintendo voice chat right after this, talking about the Duskbloods and Nintendo Switch Sports Resort and a ton more, so stick with us. We're back on Nintendo voice chat, breaking down the Nintendo Direct. The Duskbloods is getting a closed network test this summer, and we got a very brief look at this game. It was still pretty much only cinematics and no release date. This has got to be pushed to next year, right?
I'm not feeling too good about getting Duskbloods this year, but then again, there is a lot of stuff coming this year, so maybe it's a blessing in disguise. I am a little bit sad that we won't be able to play the full release, but I suppose a closed network test will do. And, FromSoft does have a precedent for doing this. They did this with Elden Ring Night Rain. They've done this with Elden Ring, base Elden Ring. And so, I'm sure the game is going to be really cool. I don't know if this is a character I don't think we've seen before, and I do know that this is kind of like a hero style extraction PvPvE game where you're going to be able to choose a different character, load into a map with other players, and instead of trying to focus on killing other players, one of the things that has me most excited about this is it is a FromSoft take on the extraction genre, where you are given a set of mission objectives at the start of a game, and that could entail, assassinating other players or trying to complete objectives by killing this particular world boss in the game, and how that, combines or cooperates with other people's objectives or goes directly against them is going to be really exciting. And again, that kind of social multiplayer element that I think FromSoft is just innately good at with the way they limit player communication with each other. So everyone's going to have like their story, kind of like in Breath of the Wild. Everyone has this bespoke moment where it's just like, I created this circumstance, but it's like all just a clever way of the developer saying, well, we actually did all the heavy lifting, but you played a little bit of a part player. But yeah, they're really good at stuff like that.
I was expecting to see Tarnished Edition as this sort of like, here's your FromSoft game for the year and actual footage that looks good, and then, hey, this is coming next year. But they still didn't say that. It could still be a 2026 game.
Could be.
But a network test in the summer, that could be August, right?
I feel like this is a January release of next year.
So.
Something next year.
Yeah, Elden Ring, I think, originally came out in February, so FromSoft
it feels about right
before. Yep. And Elden Ring Tarnished Edition is coming to Switch 2. I think it's August. I think the 28th.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at it right now, so we are still getting a FromSoft game on Switch 2 this year, and I've heard it's improved a lot.
It has improved because it did look pretty rough early on.
Yeah, because people saw it at Gamescom, and it was really, really rough, and then I saw it at PAX after that, and it was already much better. And that was a year ago. That was 10 months ago that I played it, so it's definitely going to be in a much better spot. But yeah, and I look at Nintendo's calendar. They release one game a month, and it's filled out. Like we're already starting to know. We know we got Fire Emblem in September, and then we've got Nintendo Switch Sports Resort in October, which should be an August game, but it's not. It's fine. And then Ocarina of Time sometime.
Question for you. Is this November for Ocarina of Time? Or do you think that they're going to also be afraid of the GTA-sized entity in the room?
I didn't think they cared about GTA 6.
I don't think they do.
Yeah, so
I think Nintendo is like the one company that goes, eh.
Yeah, so then I'm surprised we didn't get a date for Ocarina of Time, if that's true, though.
Yeah, well, maybe they don't want to tip the hat to anybody else who's planning their lineup, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, Zelda feels like a November 21st to 25th kind of a range game. So we'll see if that's true.
I think Ocarina came out on November 21st.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
it does feel like a holiday console mover release.
But I mean, we have not gotten a GTA game in over a decade, and that is a major event, and nobody's immune to it. It is competing for time. So even if you have a fantasy game versus like a real world crime game, you're still competing for people's time. Now, Nintendo, if GTA doesn't launch on Switch 2, it's a little bit of a different story, and Nintendo wants to compete really, really hard for time. And like, what bigger game than a remake of the 10 out of 10 amazing Zelda game?
Yeah.
You know?
Like a top 5 most iconic game of all time.
Yep.
Ocarina of
Yep.
Time.
Yep.
So yeah, that's definitely a good choice.
I do wonder though if Ocarina of Time can encourage and incentivize people to pick up a Nintendo Switch 2 because it'll assumedly release after the console price hike, which I'm a little bit concerned about in terms of like, is this
maybe
enough?
There'll be a special edition, and maybe they'll do Golden Joy-Con
Hopefully.
or
Sure,
whatnot.
they for sure will. Amiibo.
You know,
all
it'll
of
be
it.
very, very tempting, I think.
Yeah.
Not that there aren't lots of Zelda amiibo already,
Yeah,
including
We need
Ocarina of
at
Time
least
Link.
3
But
more
not with
links.
fingernails. See, that's
Now he's got,
He's got
now-
a new outfit.
It's
Yeah,
a
he
completely
does.
different art style too.
is.
So
And I can't wait for that outfit to also come to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the
Yeah.
Kingdom via Amiibo support.
I know it's so interesting to me. I was a little worried it was going to say 2027 with how little they were showing. Like this felt like a teaser, but I guess I still think Nintendo's going to do a September direct. They skipped their February one; it was a partner show, but maybe in September or now it could be any day on Nintendo Today, like we've talked about, that we see more of this. But yeah, I think that if I didn't have a Switch 2 and I saw 5 seconds of Ocarina of Time, I would be buying one right now. Because
I was thinking of my sister-in-law. She did buy a Switch too, but like this would have done it.
Yeah.
This would have definitely done it. Yeah.
I think that screenshot alone is going to be enough for a lot of people. And remember, on September 1st, the price is going up $50. Right now, they're doing that bundle where you can pick Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, or Pokemon Pokopia. Which, speaking of, should we talk about that?
yeah.
Pokopia, nice,
Yeah.
free and not so free
Yes.
upgrade to the core game.
The Pokemon Pokopia expansion pass, you can buy it today, but it's not out until August. There's going to be 3 waves. The first is a new water town, and then we don't know the second and third. And there's also a free update where you can go underwater and just decorate down there. So that's going to be... I was just thinking about it during the show, like people are already so overwhelmed. There's so much like ruins to fix and stuff, and now there's a whole new
gonna get bigger.
underwater level.
I love how they planned this in advance, but
Yeah.
sort of the game doesn't hint at it. You know, it's
Yeah.
more, I joke that it's like Animal Crossing, which introduced like swimming and gathering shells and stuff, water creatures later on.
Yeah.
But this is way more because you're actually expanding where you can build your stuff, and it's obviously a really cool style to be able to build these underwater homes and things.
And not just that, like I think the game just feels good to move around in. It's got like this innate Dragon Quest builder style, like just tactile feedback that feels nice. Like, don't get me wrong, I like my Animal Crossing, but it doesn't necessarily feel good to move around in Animal Crossing.
That's right.
And so I just like kind of existing in Pokopia. It's nice.
Yeah, it's going to be very cool. And we also got some weird new content for Donkey Kong Bonanza, kind of, and that goes all into the DK Challenge, which is Nintendo's really first major take on achievements that we've seen. This is going to be part of your Nintendo Switch Online subscription, and we saw that in the Super Nintendo app, you can play Donkey Kong Country, and it's like complete, I don't remember the examples, we only have seen this footage once, but basically little tiny challenges that remind me of NES Remake.
Yeah.
These little vertical slices of games that challenge you to play them in a different way. And it's not just classic games. They're adding these to Donkey Kong Bonanza as well. There's easy, medium, and hard. And then on top of that, the DK roguelite DLC is getting Mario hats and stuff like that. But the DK challenge stuff is the really interesting part.
But I couldn't tell. So from this demo, I couldn't tell if it's instantaneous or if it's more like, you know, you got to load up the game and it has to be installed, right? Like, so you would have to have all these games installed to play them, or if there's sort of some DRM ownership check and it just unlocks almost like a demo, like a standalone little stage that you can play that is ripped out and installed with this application, or if it's streaming, right? It's kind of hard to tell here.
That little scene they're showing right now makes me think it has to be installed. It's showing you all these 4 things are on my Switch, and then I can go down here and play these challenges.
Okay, and then but that means this footage is not real time. Like you're not going to launch that fast into a challenge.
No.
Yeah, the Switch 2 does not have the Xbox Series X instant resume feature, right? So like I do suspect that there is a world where if it's too long of a load time, then I'm just not really going to commit to this. But if it is instantaneous, then I would be more inclined to actually go through all of these challenges. Like I see for the classic games, NSO Online stuff, I could see that working borderline instantaneous.
Because it's and it would be nice to have a native system like that. Because if you think of, obviously on Switch you have these sort of incentives to play a game, so you can unlock art or icons and stuff like that.
In games, you're right. It's an evolution.
In games of, but it feels kludgy, right? You're loading a web interface, and in Assassin's Creed games, you've got this sort of Ubisoft also web interface. Oh, do this quest, and you can unlock something, and then put it back in. It all feels really hokey and not fun to navigate, and it takes a long time to load. And I hope that they figure this out. Yeah. And this feels native and quick.
Well, it's available tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific time, so we're going to know pretty soon. My one disappointment here, I think it's awesome that they're bringing in new ways to tackle these games, both old and new games. I'm disappointed that they're limited time events. I think
it's a bummer.
They're really into that lately. Even Emerald Rush has all these limited time. You can only get the Tiny Kong statue in this 2-week period, and then when you miss it, I feel like you lose motivation to get the next one because it's like, well, I'm not going to have them all. And yeah, I think that this would be much cooler if it was just permanent. Just like when you add a game to the NSO library, add its challenges, and those are never going to go away. But that's not how it's going to work.
Very strange overall, just cadence of how Nintendo handles these limited time events. Like, I don't really understand. I guess it's trying to create a sense of FOMO. But again, these games are all old at this point, which is like, I don't think you need to create that FOMO for these. I think these just need to exist to justify the service that you're charging people every year for. So I was telling Logan yesterday, I was like, oh, hey, today's the anniversary of my Nintendo Switch Online subscription. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you guys feel like your Nintendo Switch Online subscription has paid for itself over the first year of the Nintendo Switch 2 life cycle?
I mean, for me, yeah, because I play Mario Kart World online every week, and so that's something I do. And,
you are a power user.
Yeah. So but I'm not the right person to ask about that.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It's worth it for me just to play some classic GameCube games like F-Zero and Fire Emblem on this modern console.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and I think that why it is limited time is they don't want people to just buy a month of NSO and then catch up on everything and then cancel. No. So I get that perspective. I just don't necessarily agree with it. I wish that these were a permanent thing. Yeah. We've got to take one more very short break, but when we come back, we are going to talk about Xenoblade and Nintendo Switch Sports Resort, and then we'll wrap up NVC Live, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Nintendo Voice Chat. We got a look at Xenoblade Genesis, which is coming to Switch 2 in 2027. This is a new beginning for the Xenoblade franchise, and we, along with it, got Nintendo Switch 2 editions for the entire original Xenoblade Chronicles trilogy. But let's start with the new game. I thought this look at Genesis was awesome. I thought it was visually very impressive, and you saw the world kind of like curving in on itself. You likened it to a Halo ring. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, it looks beautiful, and again, it just goes to show you that Monolith Soft is cooking at all times. Everything they touch, they're just, it's so beautiful. They managed to take advantage of the technology in a way that makes me feel like this is this is not a compromised console in any way, shape, or form. Strong art direction overall. It feels very evocative of something like a dark fantasy, something that we don't quite see very often in Xenoblade, in the entire Xenoblade series. It's all very sci-fi forward. But yeah, I'm digging like the Game of Thrones-esqueness to it. I like the more tame art direction that we're seeing here in terms of wardrobe, very school adjacent.
It's like Fire Emblem.
Yeah, it does give off Fire Emblem three houses quite a bit, but it reminded me a lot of Metaphor ReFantasio's overall like fashion direction and art direction overall, and I can't wait to check this out. And this has encouraged me to finally jump back in and give the Xenoblade Chronicles game a fair shot.
It's Monolith figured out how to do open world early on Switch, right? Mm-hmm. Like games that ran well. In the beginning, I didn't love the original art style. They adjusted it over time. Like, I don't know if it was based on fan feedback or they just sort of got, maybe direction from Nintendo, and it is inching closer and closer to Fire Emblem. You guys are exactly right with the anime style, obviously. But when you get out into the open world, it looks distinctly Xenoblade, which is this vibrant blue with a vibrant green. There are no drab colors or sort of, it doesn't aspire to realism. It's always this kind of crazy fantasy sci-fi world where there's stuff going on in the sky, as you're exploring. I really love the look at the mounts, the nut horses, the traversal here looks really cool. And I mean, look at the horizon and how the world sort of folds in on itself. You can just imagine exploring this. The other thing that I love about Xenoblade games is the freaking noisy combat, and it's like, you know, like the Persona games, like they're yelling, they're never shutting up. You know, some people don't like that.
You're gonna hear the name of their special move for 40 plus hours.
But it's so cool because obviously the system in this game is this sort of real time combat, obviously with some turn-based active time elements, and like everybody always yells out their specials and help me and all of that, and it's just. The battles feel so alive in this series, and I can't wait to see what the Old Testament version of Xenoblade is going to look like.
Yeah, not a numbered entry, right? This is the start of a new chapter, which is cool, because 3's DLC did really wrap up that whole trilogy, so to see them going in a new direction is neat. I kind of thought they were going to drop the blade and do like whatever Xeno next was, but I think that Xenoblade is becoming a brand, and so they maybe didn't want to do that. But I think that when I look at this, Monolith is so good at hardware, and they took full advantage of the Switch. Xenoblade 3 is awesome, and it had great draw distance where you can see really far off into the world. So now when I'm looking at this, I feel like when they got their hands on the Switch too, they were like, oh, we can make our whole world map visible all the time.
Training weights come off.
Yeah, so that's like such a cool idea to see just these little inklings of how are developers taking advantage of the new hardware, and it's like, oh, let's just take the world map and fold it up, and that's really cool, and I hope that it delivers, and like that, you see that mountain sticking out of the side of the wall up there, you can go there. I hope that's what this ends up being.
Also, density, environment density is the thing that's just that's the thing that really makes the world feel more alive to me. And I do think we saw them kind of improve on that density from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom and so on with Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3. So very, very exciting to see what they do with this one.
Yeah, and we're getting the entire Xenoblade Chronicles trilogy is getting Nintendo Switch 2 editions. I didn't catch all the dates because there's like different for digital and physical for all these. But I know
today, right?
One is getting digital today, physical on July 30th. 2 is getting digital on July 30th, physical, I think, in October. And 3 is coming out in December. They said they're going to be 4K, 60 FPS. Woo! So these looked nice running. I did mention that the Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, Nintendo Switch 2 edition, was rushed out the door. It did not run very well, but these look like they're going to be great. And yeah, I mean, if you think Genesis looks great, here you go. Here's like 340 hours of Xenoblade content.
Yeah.
They mentioned upgrade pack. Are we talking like a Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom situation? Is this a $19.99? Is this going to come with NSO online subscription?
No, they would have said that.
Yeah.
It's going to be, the rule is if it comes with new content, it's going to be $19.99, and they shouted out these each have some new modes that I think are going to
Did they only add a new vehicle in Xenoblade 1 so they could charge me $19.99?
Yeah.
No, this is like when they reissue Final Fantasy games and you've got the fast walk button, right? Because for returning player, it just adds this really cool element that you're like, I already know this. I know where I'm going. Stop it. Don't slow me down, right?
I'm gonna buy my upgrade pack today, and I think that's gonna be my TV companion. Just grinding some Xenoblade. Yes. I got 1 month until Xenoblade Chronicles 2 upgrade pack comes out, so let's see if I can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. But a cool announcement, and Monolith is such a great studio for Nintendo.
Really good.
Yeah, so that's a good one. And then we got coming October 22nd is Nintendo Switch Sports Resort. It's going to include 12 sports. I'll reel them off. That's boxing, table tennis, archery, tennis, volleyball, bowling, basketball, golf, thumb wrestling, which we saw a lot of in the Nintendo Direct, skateboarding, jet skiing, prop plane, and jump rope. Yeah, I said it on the live show, but Nintendo Switch Sports sold over 10 million units. It was a huge hit for bringing back this legacy brand of Wii Sports. This felt like a no-brainer, and here it is.
Yep. And I mean, we have to see a little bit more of this game to see whether it will feel new or whether it will feel like greatest hits plus, now you've got thumb wrestling. Yeah. A lot of this feels familiar. I like that they have Mii's in there in some fashion. And it obviously looks much nicer than the classic Wii Sports and Switch Sports. So,
but it doesn't control as nice. Maybe in the Joy-Con 2 it will, but the Joy-Con 1 never lived up to the Wii Motion Plus the Wii Sports Resort had.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You're right. Obviously, there's some sacrifices when you no longer have a sensor bar on top of your TV when it comes to tracking. Bowling, by the way, Wii Sports Bowling, still fantastic. When you break it out and play it, it just was so ahead of its time with its control scheme. Like, it sort of uses voodoo magic to make it really feel like bowling. Mm-hmm. But I'm mostly excited for flying.
Yes, me too.
I'm a big Pilot Wings fan. Wii Sports Resort was sort of a throwback to the Pilot Wings exploration missions and stuff. I would hope that they have more than just the plane.
Yeah.
But I know that's
because then you
too much to ask for.
You even had Pilot Wings Resort, which was the 3DS launch game that was entirely on Woohoo Island. So they used Woohoo Island so much in the 2010s. There was Mario Kart tracks that took place on Woohoo Island, and it's been gone for a long time. So I was happy to see it back.
I'm just happy that I'll get it. Whenever I want to take to the links, I can play some golf. I don't know. I just missed. I really do miss playing golf on my Nintendo consoles. That and table tennis and tennis is all I really
Some
need.
Mario Golf.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But I don't know. There's just something so satisfying about being on Woohoo Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's like one tropical game coming this October. A tropical game that is coming this summer, Splatoon Raiders, and today we learned we're getting a full direct for that title on June 30th. The game is out in July. We're going to get daily comics dropped on Nintendo today. There's going to be a Splatfest, and for Per Schneider, more Joy-Con 2 that are colored after Splatoon.
Will you be buying these?
No, so I have the alternate color one so that I had more sets. My daughter likes playing with, I use Pro Controllers, but she likes playing with the dock Joy-Con. No, it's just too close, guys. Like
It's
most
not
of the
enough.
time, they're attached to your system, and so the nice blue and yellow strips there are not visible, and so that it's just not enough for me.
Flip the color scheme.
Yeah.
It just needs to be. Just swap it a little bit. Move it a little to the left and more to the right.
I love that they want to keep this sort of color scheme and this convention going to make it look uniquely Switch 2, but it's like, it's just for that price.
Yeah.
It's very little color.
Yeah, it is. I know you
Not
showed
enough
me,
ink, guys.
The other day you were like, look at my Switch 2, and I noticed right away because I'm an insane person. But people around us were like, why are you showing?
I know. It was a joke. Like, people really don't notice.
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't. Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to the Splatoon Raiders Direct because they still have not convinced me that this is not just something that started as DLC for Splatoon 3 that they decided to spin off into this $50 game because it looks like a single-player salmon run thing, get treasure, upgrade your stuff. It looks really fun. Splatoon single-player and their DLCs have been very good, but I'm waiting to see what happens when you dive into like a shrine, like a dungeon-like thing? Are there puzzles down there? Are there unique mechanics down there? Because right now it's looking a little too familiar.
I almost feel like this is the Q lab, the Q test lab for the next online Splatoon. Like they're going to test what gadgets people love in this one and how, whether they're OP or effective in a mode like Salmon Run. And then you're going to get those weapons in the actual mainline game in the future. But what we saw looked really cool. I mean, the exploration bot is neat. There were a lot of, sort of auto turrets and cool things you can plop down. That sort of stuff's always really fun.
They're 100% making an extraction shooter for Splatoon 4, aren't they?
I don't know. We'll see.
Is this the testing ground for that?
Yeah.
For people who have never played Splatoon, because it's primarily online, the single player just doesn't get as much attention. It's actually very good.
It's very.
And it has like Mario style boss battles that are both hilarious and really well executed from like a mechanical perspective.
Yes.
This game, above anything, has that game feel where like the like paint splatting, like you can feel it. Like when something pops and blows up in this game, when you win, when you take over the lead, all of that is like visually and feel wise like as good as it can be. So
agreed.
I'm hoping that there is more to it than just fight enemies horde style like in Salmon Run, that there is exploration and sort of puzzles and discovery there too.
Yeah, no, I think Splatoon is kind of an underrated series for Nintendo. Huge in Japan, not as much here. And it's like S tier. It's like the one of the best teams works on this. They feel amazing to play. And I want to see a little more because, like you said, the single-player stuff does always feel like a side offering. It doesn't mean it's not good. It is. And I thought this is a chance to put it front and center. And the cool thing about single-player Splatoon, and they especially leaned into this in the roguelite mode they recently did, Side Order for Splatoon 3, is it doesn't have to be balanced. And I think that in the first couple of campaigns, they just kind of drag and dropped their multiplayer balanced weapons. But in Side Order, they were just like, oh, why not just have like these shooting tornadoes that are destroying like 100 things at once? Like you can just go crazy. And that's what this is looking like.
Yeah, this is QLab.
Yeah, so it's going to be really fun. That is out in July.
Don't touch that, Bond.
And then we got a free demo for Star Fox, which you can try out today. So yeah, we didn't see much of that game.
Yeah, because we know what's in the game, Logan, right? Like, I actually thought they showed too much. Like, I think we saw everything but Sector Z. I mean, we saw Area 6. We saw Area 6 in this one. Macbeth right there. There's Area 6. Solar Zone S. Like, there's not a lot of this Sector X with not a lot of mystery left to explore in this game. And so I don't know if I want to watch the
treehouse.
Treehouse, because like I want some surprise in the visuals, because this game, I'm so familiar with this game. But this level, Meteor, you're going to be able to play. Has, there are multiple routes through this.
Level. Yeah.
It is just great. It teaches you how to brake and speed up and avoid asteroids, and then the lock-on system. And then there's this meta for Star Fox where you want to get medals, right? And so you have to be really smart on how you take out the enemies. Each enemy is a hit. You want to get to a certain hit ratio. Bigger enemies give you like a +3 bonus when you destroy them, or even +10. And so there's this whole metagame to playing through this game and getting all the medals later, so that you get your Daddy McCloud sunglasses in the end.
Some secret missions.
That's right.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that we got to call it there. That is a wrap on our live episode of Nintendo Voice Chat. We're usually here on Fridays on the IGN Games channel on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Thank you so much, Per and Nick, for joining me.
Logan.
And thank you, everyone working behind the scenes here in the LA studio. And thank you so much for watching or listening. There's still lots more IGN Summer of Gaming right here all summer long. But for now, remember that Nintendo Voice Chat is the only place you can
Get the thing.